Welcome to In the Limelight, the series that takes an in-depth look into independent filmmaking and the creative minds that are trying to break it into the industry. My name is Martin Daniel Smith. Throughout this series, we will be talking to various different filmmakers from across the region, offering them a platform to showcase their work, also asking them one or two questions about their passion and drive. For today's episode, we're off to Durham, where we spoke to Paul Anderson, Lee Jackson and Amy Telford.
Hello.
How are you doing?
Hello.
Good?
Martin.
Yeah? Now, I met you guys, I actually spoke to Paul first. It was the very first person I spoke to for any sort of film-related thing. It was like, kind of, are you a filmmaker? And you're like, yes, I am. I was like, blah, 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 sent you about an email about 6 miles long. And you pretty much just said, get your head down, go out and meet people, and that's how it started for me. But my first shoot was Which Weapon, one of the zombie series that you were making. And I came in and I was a runner, clapperboard operator. Really had my eyes opened up, really enjoyed it. You guys really did seem to know what you're doing at the time. And it's gone just out of control from there. You've become much bigger, but I can see the journey that you've took. At the time, I would think what really swayed me into filmmaking was throwing Dennis Hewitt's guts on the screen. That's my job.
Living the dream, living the dream.
And I got the credit at the end of the film. I'm thinking, oh, I'll absolutely love it. Your journey, I mean, you'd been making films before that point, and then I've seen how you've gone from there onwards. Where have you actually come from before the Which Weapon series? Your background?
I made a short, 9-minute zombie film called Run that it was done in about 2010-ish, give or take, because I wanted to have something where all the mates that I had at the time, I wanted to do a short film where I could drag them all through it, and none of them were actors or anything like that, and I wanted to do something where I could include everyone so that when I'm old and grey I can look back and say they're all my mates when I was in my mid-20s or whatever it was.
So Run was literally get your family members, get your friends,
Yeah.
I've got a camera.
My mum and dad were in it, my cousins were in it, all my mates were in it, and yeah.
So what made you do this? Start filmmaking?
Diary of the Dead.
Right?
Yeah, because it was awful.
Just right. It was. I can do much better. Right?
No, because I sort of watching films and realising that some of them are absolute dross and they get out there, and you sort of think you don't have to be this big. You don't have to live in London or in Hollywood to have a film made. If you want to do it, I just sort of thought, well, I could do better than that, and then I kind of dared myself to do it and started doing it, and that was it.
What about yourself, Lee?
I was watching the film, the film series used to be hosted by Jonathan Rusk, doing all the reviews and stuff. And they had a special on Gladiator, and it was just showing you behind the scenes. I was like, I'd love to sort of try and do that. And so got myself a camcorder. Me and my friends just started messing about, making films, just start editing, really basic stuff. And we've done that for years. Ironically, watched Gladiator about 9 years after it came out, and I didn't really care for it. I was a bit bored, to be honest, but people are quite shocked by that. But
so it's like you kind of just films from the past that's kind of inspired you to kind of become a filmmaker yourself.
Yeah.
Seeing how it's about. What about you?
Me, I guess 16 years old was when I hit that peak as well. But I did media studies at school, so that was part of our kind of course. We had to make a film, and like Lee says, it was very much stop-start, no angles, no close-ups, no nothing. It was very basic stuff. But obviously, as the years kind of went on, loved going to the cinema and started thinking, what, I'd love to make my own world and dress up. Any excuse to dress up. And it kind of went from there. Yeah, pretty much. So people who I went to school with and did media studies with are the people I started making films with, and we started doing it outside of school timetable. And it kind of went from there. It was just basically dressing up as elves, going in the woods and scaring a lot of dog walkers. Still do that, yeah. But now we do it a little bit more professionally with a bigger crew. But yeah, it was just, obviously it was part of my school life, and then obviously it went beyond that. And then obviously the people I made films with years later, absolutely years later, met up again and thought, you know what, we're going to be free in summer, do you fancy doing something? let's go back and do a bit of nostalgia or whatnot. And again, dressed up as pretty much similar things. Actually, I went to play in the woods, but with a bigger crew and sound equipment. So yeah, that's kind of where it went.
So your journey that I've seen from the Which Weapon series, you did release some hilarious ones as well. But as it goes on, you've kind of, I've realised that you've, especially with yourself, Paul, you've started tinkering around with After Effects. I pretty much consider you to be the main man. You're the human Bible of After Effects. If I ever need any advice, I'm coming to you. But as it sort of goes from here, like what, your paths that you've kind of like jumped into, who between the three of you, who's making the decisions, who's coming up with the ideas, how do you put these things together?
I think it's project by project. It really depends. If one of us comes up with an idea that is popular or we like it, then it's just a case of right, let's run with it. And if we don't, then we tell them, we say I'm not really interested in that one, and which is fine because we can do stuff the three of us, or we can go and do our own thing separately, and that's not a problem. You know, if you're really passionate about something that no one else wants to do, then still do it if you really want to.
So how do you like? You're really the first team that I've kind of come across. How does it work as a team? Do you fight? Do you?
Yes. Yes. It's really
never?
hard. It's really hard because you got three creative people together, and that's a nightmare. It's a recipe for argument because everyone wants to have their little element of control all the time, and that's part and parcel of it.
Like now, trying to explain it. I think we're all ready to jump in.
Is there kind of like a pecking order? Do you say, well, if you've wrote the project, you can direct it, or you can...
It's the way it's got to work, basically. Yeah. If you've had the idea from day one, you know what I mean? It's very difficult to pass it on to somebody else, write something, pass it on to someone else to direct, because you're constantly going, well, no, that's not how I envisioned that when I wrote it. So it's very much sort of like whoever writes it, directs it, has kind of final say on everything, but everyone's welcome to put their own ideas into the mix as well, you know. So
that's the fun part, though. It's like when with Otherworld that we're working on at the minute, it's Lee's idea, but he brought it to us and sort of said, look, what do you think of this? Let's roll with this and go where we want to. And we've got loads of little things that we want to put in there, but at the end of the day, Lee's the one who says yep or no. And that's...
I tend to see it now a lot.
Pretty much no. That's not what I want.
Just doing their head in a bit, like, but...
That's not what I want.
So obviously you ventured into much bigger things than Which Weapon series. I mean, it comes to a point where things start costing money, props, travelling, things like that. How do you go about managing the finance side of filmmaking?
So yeah,
I think we all contribute in our own way. So, for example, Otherworld current project, we've all bought little bits and pieces. Like we're currently we're handed prosthetics, which obviously costs money. Costs money for all the things I can't say. I can't remember any name of any product.
Rigid collodion.
Latex.
Is that one?
Yeah, it is, but we're not using that on this.
Plaster of Paris. So obviously everything adds up, and obviously we've bought like little bits and pieces that end up adding up. But
we've spent next to nothing really, haven't we, on this? I mean, all the money is obviously, you know, in the equipment.
Mm-hmm.
And that's just been since I started doing it in 2010. That's just pretty much been bought in dribs and drabs and just ongoing thing. It's what I'm passionate about. So I've got no problem with putting the money that I've put into it.
I mean, it's when you when you say that it doesn't take a lot of money to get results, really, does it?
No.
Yeah.
Well, you see, this is something that I kind of you hear a lot of, like, you know, people who make films say, well, you can make a film on an iPhone, but they don't make films on iPhones. No. They make films on, you know, so there's something in that, in the sense of, yes, your creativity, you shouldn't be limited by the equipment that you've got, but it makes a big difference when you've got a gimbal, when you've got sound equipment that actually is good, that can sync up easy. Of course it makes a big difference. So it's something that you make do at the point where you haven't got it, but you always strive to want to have more, because that's just, you know, the nature of it, to kind of, that fell down in sound, so we must get sound gear. We've got to do it. I can't be doing it with rubbish sound anymore. Right, then now that's done. Well, I want to do moving shots, so let's get and that's just keeps on going and going and going.
I've worked with these guys quite a few times. There's always a great atmosphere on set. But join us after the break where Amy talks about what it means to be a female filmmaker.
Like a lot of the things that I want to do at the moment, action based.
Tune in after the break. Welcome back to In the Limelight, the series that follows independent filmmakers from our region. Today, we're in Durham talking to Paul Anderson, Amy Telford and Lee Jackson. Amy Telford,
Yes,
you're a lady
I am.
and you're making films.
I am.
On the network, I haven't really come across too many female filmmakers, to be honest with you. They're one of the leading ones, in my eyes especially, but how does this kind of work for you? How do you get on with things in the North East Filmmaker Network?
Well, I didn't think it posed much of a problem, really. I think I didn't really notice it until I started wanting to ask if other females wanted to get involved, and I realised how little there was out there. There are a couple, don't get me wrong, that I know of, but I just think it's an industry that they're not really interested in terms of behind the scenes. I think a lot of females want to be in front of the camera, which I do too, don't get me wrong. But I don't think many of them find the kind of behind the scenes production stuff very interesting or attractive in any way. I know there's a couple who wanted to specialise in certain areas, which is fair enough, but I think in the past I've struggled to find willing actresses to get involved in the things that I'd like to do. Like a lot of the things that I want to do at the moment is action based, and I think I'm not intending to be sexist, but I get the impression that a lot of girls don't really want to throw themselves around in the woods on the floor and get bruises here, there and everywhere.
It's true though.
We were saying like, obviously that's why we cast Amy and everything, but it's not true. We had a lot of attention about Otherworld. Put a casting call on about that. And we went through, we had about, 6 or 7 actresses we looked through.
That was just the good ones.
Yeah. And,
I would say there was loads of interest.
And there were really good actresses, but none of them fit the role of Alice.
Quite like Amy Telford.
So we just decided, because Amy was actually turned around and said, I don't think I'm good enough for the part. And after me and Paul had looked through everybody, we were like, no, yeah, that's Amy's role, you know what I mean? So we had to kind of go back and say, you sure you don't want to do this, because we really want you in the part.
So which film that you've done have you had problems making? Like what challenges what's the biggest challenge film that
Digital
you've made?
Senseless.
Oh yeah, definitely.
Is that because you had to disappear off planet Earth for
Yeah,
a year to
pretty much. Well, it was a
Yeah.
year of editing that and the effects on it. And the main issue we had is that the effects in it, we'd never done them before. We'd never done anything like it before, so we had to learn how to do it.
You learned how to do it.
I had to learn how to do it, so it was...
I watched them learn.
I just edited it. I went, right, we need this. We need this. And we
Paul,
need
I've got
this.
an idea.
I've got an idea, Paul. And then that would happen.
Yeah, pretty much.
But
But
yeah, it was a
that for me
nightmare.
has been the most testing project by a country mile.
But we knew that going into it though, didn't we? I mean,
Yeah.
it was one of those.
It wasn't a problem, it was just
No,
the way
no.
that it was.
No.
We've been talking about it. Now let's have a look at Digital Senseless. filmmaking side of it, you're pretty much doing a bit of all of it, really. You're doing all the different sort of aspects to filmmaking. What do you kind of enjoy the most?
The end result.
The end result,
Yeah.
not the hard work.
No, I love it. I love it.
You do and you don't, though.
No,
It's
no,
like a
no.
kind of a...
I don't like digital census, for example. Again, that took a year of effect, but I did really enjoy it, and it was extremely hard work. But I don't believe that anything. I'm not a big believer in talent. I think that anything that's quality, there's generally just loads of hard work gone into it. It's not a luck. You know, you might get the lucky thing here and there or whatever, but 9 times out of 10, it's down to people putting graft in for a long time, and that's what people see. But in terms of what I enjoy the most about it, do you mean like a certain
Camera work,
aspect?
editing, writing, acting?
Well, I don't like acting.
Acting's probably my favourite, like.
I don't like acting. Although I've only tried comedy acting and I'm just not funny. That's a problem, comedy acting. So
No, you did Run, man.
yeah, that's not a comedy.
I know. No, you said you've only really
Oh,
tried
yeah,
comedy.
okay.
You've done
Yeah,
Run.
I did Run. And I enjoyed that. That was a more like realistic kind of thing, and I try that again. But I don't want to get involved in comedy at all because I just don't. No. But I want to. No, there's no one aspect that I like more than any. I just want to make films. That's really it.
Lee,
What?
I do admire your acting, sir.
Oh, thank you very much.
Really,
Sorry,
I
I meant pardon me, Martin. What?
you're coming from
Yes.
like your creative mind that you've got. You're writing stories, you're directing, you're acting. Really, it's just a case of how are you preparing yourself for these different projects? I mean, especially
Yeah,
for the
Lee.
acting side of things, because I've seen some magic come from yourself. But it's a
thank
completely
you.
different person.
I don't, to be honest. I mean, like Cape, for example. Paul was like, I've got this script. And we just turned up and went, right, okay, read the script. I was like, can I go off the page here a little bit? And he's like, yeah, fine. And then that was basically it. It was just,
Gone.
we're just...
There was that in Hitman.
We
It
just
was like,
mixed-
here's
yeah,
a general idea, and like you say, can I go off script? Like that's kind of the idea.
Yeah,
Don't-
yeah.
We've been talking about it, so let's have a look at Cape.
What are you doing?
I'm making a cape.
Why? You're not.
Mellow. God. Make a cape. Alright, bye. Sorry, what?
You're not Superman.
Look at the fucking picture. Superman. Me.
Oh, those curtains from upstairs.
That's besides the point. You've never seen us fly.
I've seen you not fly. A lot.
Just because a man chooses to walk doesn't mean he doesn't own a car.
You don't own a car.
Yeah, that's because I can fly.
No, you can't.
Yes, I can.
No, you can't.
I can.
Can't.
Can.
You can't.
Can how?
You can't.
Can.
You can't.
Can.
You can't.
I am the son of Krypton.
Wow.
Yeah, I know.
No, that's not. You know what? Prove it.
Can't. Cape's not ready.
Thought so.
See, Jim, that's a bad outfit. Woo! You ready?
Yeah,
My wings are like a shield of steel.
that's Batthink.
So you think? Come on!
I'm gonna need a bigger cape.
To the sewing machine!
Thank you very much, guys, for coming down. It's
You're
been
welcome,
it's
Mark.
been
Very welcome.
hilarious, as
The
usual.
stuff that we're not allowed to show has been hilarious.
Unfortunately, that does bring us to an end of today's episode. I do hope that you've enjoyed the insight into the creative industry and that we've helped to inspire you to make your first steps into filmmaking. If you have a short film or documentary that you'd like to talk to us about, then please email us. You can also tweet about your story using the hashtag #MadeItLimelight. I hope to see you next week. That's all from me. Goodbye.